Hello, grade 7s. We are starting a new unit in math since you guys finished your last unit on measurements and converting units. And we are starting a unit on data management. So we just did a unit on data management, a couple of months ago, I would say. And you were learning about averages and median, mean, mode, and range. And you did stem and leaf plots, and that was a quick unit. Now we're doing a little bit more on data management, and we're starting off with bar graphs. So as you know, data is information, and there's all kinds of ways of organizing information. And why do we organize things? Basically so that we know where they are, so we can make sense of things, and it's not just a huge mess of numbers and information. Just like why your mom or your dad tells you to clean your room, so you know where things are and things don't get lost. So this bar graph here is a chart that gives us some information about the numbers of immigration into Canada. So I'm just going to go over what a bar graph looks like. So it's called a graph because it's this chart, and you can see the bars here. There's line graphs as well, so where you'd have a dot, the number that it is in, and then you would connect the dots. The benefit of having a line graph is to show you, it gets your eye looking in a certain direction so you can see the movement of things, and a bar graph is a good way to compare things. So there's benefits in different ways of organizing information. So let's talk about this. So this bar graph has a title, and it's called Immigration into Canada. So that just helps people know what is this about. And then it has down here, it has the labels for some information about the bars. So in this case, these are all the years. And that's really tiny, but it goes from, this bar is for 1966 to 1971, 1971 to 1976, 1976 to 1981, and so on up to 1996 to 2001. And so each bar represents a 5-year time period, and you might have noticed that the years actually get repeated. So in here it's 1971, and then this one starts at 1971. So they actually, this one was halfway into the year of 1971, and the next half would start there. On the side here it says numbers of immigrants, and in brackets it said thousands. So when it says 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, doesn't mean that in 5 years, 900 people immigrated to Canada. It means 900,000 people immigrated to Canada in that 5-year period. So if you saw this bar graph, I could ask you questions like, what 5-year period saw the most immigrants into Canada between 1966 and 2001. So you could look at that and say, it was 1996 to 2001 because that has the highest bar. Or I could say, what time period saw the fewest immigrants in this time period? So that would be between 1981 and 1986. And you could look at the politics of what was going on in Canada or the world, or what was happening at that time, what maybe prime ministers were making rules or opening things up more. So there's all kinds of reasons why there'd be more or fewer immigrants coming into Canada. Okay, so here's this word scale. So a scale is a measurement of something, and every time you make a bar graph, you have to decide how much are you going to go up by. What is the scale here? So they could have gone by hundreds. If you went up by hundreds instead of by hundreds of thousands, then you would have a really, really, really tall graph, and it would be very difficult even to look at it. So they decided to go up by hundreds of thousands, and they went up by 200,000 each level. So 200,000, 400,000, 600,000, 800, etc., going up. So they started at 0 and they went up by 200,000 each time. If you went by a smaller number, you could see the information more accurately, because here, this is a difference between, it could be 850,000, it could be 950,000. 100,000 is a lot of people. That's a huge difference. But at the same time, maybe we don't need to know exactly for this graph. We want a rough estimate. Or, we only know within this one 5-year period. 5 years is a long time. Maybe we want to know exactly every year. So if we wanted to know every year from here to there, we would have to, this graph would be 5 times wider. So that wouldn't fit on here, and that would be a really long, a really wide graph, wouldn't it? You would know more exactly about each particular year, but maybe that's too much information that you don't need to know. If we made this graph really wide, then we wouldn't have to go up so high. We wouldn't have to go up to 1,400 immigrants, because each year would only be about a fifth of this size. So we could make the scale different too. So these are all, I'm just saying this to say that there's all kinds of different factors that go into choosing how you make your bar graph. Okay, so excuse me. So let's look at a question in your book. So by the way, you are starting in 7.2 today, so that's exciting. It's really nice whenever you start in a brand new book. It just feels so nice, and you can write your name in it in case it gets mixed up with the other students at your house. Just joking. You'll know which book is yours. Anyway, we are on page 58 in the second book, Jump Math, and we are going to look at question 2. So I'm going to walk you through that a little bit. So if you turn to that, it says, draw a bar graph for each frequency table. Use the grids at the bottom of the page. For each graph, you will first need to decide the scale. So that's what I'm talking about here, the scale that we started at 0 and that we went up by 200,000 excuse me, each time. So it really depends on what numbers you have, depends what scale you want to go up by. So I'm going to help you with 2A on deciding on the scale, and I think they give you a hint for 2B as well, and you can try out 2C and 2D and actually draw those graphs there. But okay, so for number 2A, it says, they tell you this. They tell you the answer for that too. It says 2 students should be represented by each division in the scale. So when you draw the scale, you can see on the left there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. 6 numbers going up the side here. So for each one, you can write 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you only have to get up to above 9. You don't want your highest number to be right at the top. You wouldn't want your top to be there. So go up by 2s, and then you can draw your numbers. And then the second one, it says you could go up by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, because you need to get up a little bit higher. You have to get over 23. And then if you look at the next one, get up to 24. So probably would be similar. You'd want to go up by 5s. So you can try those out, and I'm going to show you number 3. It's quite interesting. So if you look at number 3 there, look at these 2 graphs. At a glance, you would think that they're showing different information, but they are actually showing the same information here. So on this one, it says how many people agree with a particular statement, and looks like more than half of men do and more than half of the women agree. Looks like very similar amounts of men and women agree on this statement. But over here, it looks like, like almost all the men agree and almost none of the women agree. So you'll have to look at, how did they do that? How did they make the results look so different in the 2 different graphs? And it all has to do with the scale that they use. And this gives you a little indication of how businesses and politicians can use bar graphs to make people really think something in particular. So you have to be really careful looking at bar graphs and at statistics, and make sure you understand what it is that they're saying and what are they trying to get you to think. What are they trying to do? So this is quite useful in helping you understand advertisements and different statistics. Even with COVID-19 right now, there's all kinds of different reports coming out and people saying, no, we need to stay home, and other people saying, no, we definitely need to get back to work, and it's very confusing, but learning these kinds of things can help us maybe not necessarily know what is right all the time, but we can at least have a sense of what is this person trying to get me to think, and to help you think critically about issues. Okay, so I'll write your homework down here. So you are going to do page 58, 59, number 2, 3, and 4. Great, so let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy this new unit. I think it will be fun. So have a great day. Bye.